Hello and welcome to another episode of the Small Town Tourist Podcast, where we experience and explore everything that makes small towns great. I'm your host, Abby, and today we have a very special guest. We have Bridget Dites, owner of Greenline Marketing here in the central Minnesota area. We are going to be talking today about something I've been wanting to touch on since I started this podcast. We're going to be talking all about St. Cloud Shines. It's a concept kind of similar to what I do. They shine a spotlight on things happening here in central Minnesota. The people, the businesses, the places, everything that makes this area amazing. Plus, they do deep dives on how the communities in central Minnesota differ from each other. What are their strengths? It is a great service, and Bridget does an awesome job helping run it. So I'm super excited to have Bridget on the podcast. If you're looking for more information on either Greenline Marketing or St. Cloud Shines, I, of course, have links in the show notes below. But otherwise, kick back and enjoy our time hanging out with Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget Dites. I own Greenline Marketing. We do digital marketing and we're based here in town.
So we are here today to talk about St. Cloud Shines, which is a group, an organization that I've had on my radar for quite some time now. When I first started the Small Town Tourist Podcast, I made a list of people that I wanted to reach out to and have them on the podcast to talk about what they do and kind of their mission in the community. And you guys were on that list of like my first 10 initial people. So a year and a half in, we're finally getting around to this.
Yeah. So St. Cloud Shines started in 2018. So about 6 years ago, there were a few people who led the charge, Lacey Shermers and Katie Vernig, really with a goal of more positive conversations about greater St. Cloud, positive PR, I suppose you could call it, but really just how could we collectively change what was being said and also felt about the communities that make up central Minnesota. There's all kinds of statistics that when people have a poor experience or they don't like something, they'll talk about it 3 times, 5 times more than when they have a positive experience. And so the thought kind of was, what if we put energy, investment dollars, and time and intention behind finding and shining a light on the people, the places, the faces, organizations, opportunities that really are in all of these neighborhoods around us.
There's always kind of been a stigma around the St. Cloud area. I grew up an hour away from here in Long Prairie, and it was always like, oh, that's the big city. It's unsafe. Like, be careful. It's dangerous. And then I moved here almost 10 years ago now, and it's like, no, this is just St. Cloud. It's fine. It's actually like a small town community. I don't know why everyone's so scared of it. They have no reason to be. And I feel like you guys have been great about leading the charge and going, no, there's good people and good things happening here. And there's no reason for anyone to believe otherwise.
Yeah, well, working with Lacey and Katie kind of in that transition, I got involved in St. Cloud Shines end of 2020. I was friends and connected with both Lacey and Katie, and they were looking for someone to kind of take what they had built and then make it into kind of full on like marketing campaign. But I had a unique perspective because I was a transplant. I didn't, I grew up in Southwest Minnesota in Marshall. I came up here, I went to St. Ben's. And so for me, St. Cloud, again, a big city from comparing to where I grew up, but all I could see was, wonderful opportunities to get involved in volunteering and opportunities to see shows or be in shows or, enjoy live music, enjoy outdoors. And to me, I was like, what are people complaining about? Like, there's so much here and the people are so great. And so I was really excited to say, yeah, I've, started my business here. I'm building my life here. So of course I want to help kind of spread all the good things about this place too.
Yes, for sure. Especially being from Marshall. So I actually looked at going to Southwest Minnesota State there when I was scoping out colleges. And the only reason I didn't go there because 1, everything was painted beige. And 2, I was coming from a small town and I didn't want to go to another small town. I'm like, I need to experience something different. So, but a great area.
Yeah, I always joke. Yeah, no, I love growing up in Marshall and have only good things to say there too. But I always joke when people ask if I'm going to move back, I'm like, well, St. Cloud has not 1 but 2 targets. So I don't know if I can ever leave.
My dad tried selling me on that school because he wanted me to go there because it just felt like really safe and a lot like home. And he's like, Ab, there's a Jimmy John's here. Like this is, you're living the dream if you go here.
Top tier.
Top tier.
Oh, I like it.
So you got involved and started helping out with their marketing side of things. Is that what you went to St. Ben's for?
Yeah, my degree is in communication and I kind of focused on the marketing side of things. So I started out from college, I did in-house marketing in both financial and healthcare technology worlds. I worked in an agency then in St. Cloud for 5 years. And then just a little over 5 years ago, I started Greenline Marketing, just kind of out of the desire to have more flexibility and control of where I work, when I work, who I work with, and the work I'm doing. So I get to do a little bit of everything and, do it with people who are great at what they do and appreciate each other's talents and have great clients around it too. So it's been great.
Yeah, like-minded individuals tend to find each other, especially when you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And, there was some intention around starting my business in this area too. I had the opportunity to build a really good network being involved in AdFed, which is the Central Minnesota Club of the American Advertising Federation. I had seen other people who kind of went off on their own. I was, knew people still at agencies, people who were contracting, and I felt like I had a lot of good support and, people who were kind of cheering me on. And also just was so impressed by the amount of people that were like, oh, we should work together. Because when you start your own business, especially in marketing, I was like, okay, is this going to be competitive? Are there people I'm going to be friends with that like I might not be able to talk about clients I'm pursuing? But it was the total opposite. And it was like, oh, I have a referral for you, or I'd like to bring you in on this. So, even that business side of the community in central Minnesota is just very collaborative and very positive.
I've been finding the same thing. So I am only on month 2 of being full-time self-employed with my small business. And
Okay.
I was worried about the exact same thing. I'm like, is this going to be
Yeah.
competitive? Is it going to be cutthroat? Do people like not want to work with certain people? But I have found, like you said, the exact opposite. It's people wanting to help you and point you to the right clients and the right people to network with. And it's just so special and collaborative. And I was so worried about it because it is a bigger community than what I grew up in. I come from a town of 3,000 people. So you know everyone. And here I feel like I know no one, but just in the past 3 months even, I feel like, oh my gosh, my network has expanded so much just because I shared my dream and what I want to do. And people have been willing to help you with it. And it's just such a cool community.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's definitely a spirit of, there's someone out there who is great at this or is passionate about this or is doing really well at this. And people are always willing to connect those dots, which I always appreciate too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So getting back to St. Cloud Shines here, give me a little bit of like kind of what you guys do for someone who's never heard of you guys. Give them a general
Sure.
rundown.
Yeah. So how St. Cloud Shine started, it was kind of inspired by Humans of New York. If you're familiar with, it was a Facebook and Instagram kind of movement where it was photos of seemingly random people and their stories, kind of highlighting, you never really know someone or their experiences, what they've been through. And so it kind of started on that vein. When they launched in 2018, it was sharing, really great photos of people, places, events, that sort of thing, and sharing the story. And it was, the full gamut of, oh, everyone's heard of that to nobody's heard of that. How did they find this story? And kind of everything in between. So we've continued to do what we call those are the Shine Stories, and we do those each month. And it's everything from, someone running a business in their garage to someone's kid who's making and selling, like custom dog treats at farmers markets to an old couple who's raising money for something. It's really beautiful because it is anything you can think of. It seems like we've had the opportunity to find it and talk with those people. And it's just a never ending sort of cup overflowing of inspiration of like, wow, they did this while they had 3 kids and were doing another job, or they did this because they went through a terrible experience and had a hard time and felt that no one else should have to go through that. So the Shine Stories always hold a really special place in my heart because I feel like we kind of get to be in on something before we share it with everyone. So that's really sort of the main foundation of St. Cloud Shines. But since then, We've expanded, we've done video features on the various cities who are investing in St. Cloud Shines. And that's, kind of all of the typical ones you think of: Waite Park, St. Cloud, Sartell, Sauk Rapids, St. Joe, but it goes all the way to Becker. Becker is also invested in this. And so I think people think it's this tiny St. Cloud bubble, but really our focus is a 30-mile radius of St. Cloud. So that's a big region, and a lot of communities in the area. So we're not always just looking for, what's downtown St. Cloud or what's new in St. Joe, because St. Joe is always, bubbling with something new. But it's, what are some of the established businesses or, the people who have been in these communities for years still doing great things. We have a lot of resources we've built on the website. So there's a lot of downloadable information, because the other sort of lens that we started looking at St. Cloud Shines through is if there's people who are curious about, our communities or considering moving, what resources or what information are they finding? So we took a focus on building, information that talks about each of the communities that I just listed and how are they the same and how are they different? What are the schools like? So we have a lot of resources on the website too. And all of this really is made possible through the GSDC, the Greater St. Cloud Development Corp. They have a whole slew of investors who put time, intention, dollars behind really making St. Cloud Shines possible.
That's amazing. Yeah, there is so much happening in this area, both in the small circle and then that 30-mile radius. Like there's just a lot that happens here. And from new to old, I love that you guys are covering everything. Like it doesn't have to be just started. It can be someone who's been running a business here for 30 years. Like it's really cool. There's a lot of great stories that deserve to be shared.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also really exciting because we're constantly being told about those stories. So we do a monthly newsletter called Shine On. In that newsletter, we feature 2 stories that are new to us. And we also feature a calendar of events. So classes, live music, parades, really any community event you can think of, we try to include it in there. And at the very bottom of that email is a button, it's share your shine. So if people know of a story, they can submit it on the website, they can reply to that email. And we're constantly getting told about, hey, you need to talk to this person, they're doing great things. Or did you know this business exists? I just experienced it and it's changed my life. Or I got involved in this volunteer organization. And so we're constantly getting these submissions of positive things that people want to share, which is just really nice to see, rather than bad reviews and complaints.
Yeah, I'm part of many a Facebook group where it's just people complaining about their community, what's going wrong. I had slow service at this McDonald's, don't go there. Like there's enough of that to go around. We need more good in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, I often joke that St. Cloud Shine's work isn't always work, because it just feels like that, like breath of fresh air. Like, okay, what do we get to share and what do we get to capture in photo or video this week?
So then what does the team look like for capturing that photo and video and putting together the blog posts that you guys do? Is that all you, or do you have a couple people that help you with that?
Yeah, great question. So Greenline Marketing, we're a 2-person team, but we partner with a lot of other either independent contractors or business owners. And for St. Cloud Shine specifically, we're very, very focused on making sure that anyone who is part of it is also local. So our photographer right now is Nikki Studansky. She's part of Umpteen Photo, and she takes all of our photos for us, does an amazing job. A lot of our video work has been with Switchboard, Guy and Ryan and the team there. We've also done video with Rubinsky Works and Michael McCoy Video. So we have kind of different styles of video, different projects, but all of those gentlemen have video production businesses right here in central Minnesota. Same, we collaborate with data marketing. They help with some of the back-end website stuff. And so it really is also a project that is kind of walking the walk as we're doing other things, and making sure that we're pulling in other, bright, talented people who are in the community and willing to kind of help propel us forward in that way.
I love that. It's just using the resources that we have here in central Minnesota and also shines a spotlight on them too at the same time, kind of just in the back end of things, because I would have never assumed when I first moved here, like, oh, there's a video production place in St. Cloud. Well, here I am. I have a podcast production business in St. Cloud. So it's like these people are everywhere. You
Yeah.
just need to find them and see how talented they truly are.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to let go of those little things like vendors and, website support and things like that, that literally anyone anywhere could probably help with. But saying like, no, this whole brand and movement is focused around our communities. And so anyone who works on it should be as well. So
It just makes sense.
yeah.
So I would love to talk a little bit more about Greenline. So with your marketing, you obviously help with the St. Cloud Shine stuff, but what kind of else do you do with your business? Because people might be going, what the heck is marketing?
Yeah, good question. So I always say we have kind of like three pillars or buckets that our business functions in. The first is kind of how we work with St. Cloud Shines. We consider ourselves sort of part of their marketing team and helping do the strategy and the execution. So saying, okay, here's our goal. How are we going to make that all happen? Putting that plan together, but then also doing the work. So writing the stories, planning out videos, that sort of thing. The second is partnering with other marketing agencies. So we work with agencies in the Midwest, but really all over. We have clients in, the East Coast, West Coast, and we kind of work as an extension of their marketing team. So we specialize in inbound marketing using HubSpot software. And we have over 10 years of experience in that. And so a lot of other agencies come to us and say, our client uses this, we don't know what we're doing, or we've used this before, but we don't have capacity. And so we're sort of that subject matter expert and also free calendar, so to speak. Like our team doesn't have the time and capacity, but can you guys get this done? So that's kind of our second pillar. And then the third is fairly unique, I think, and also a little bit my favorite. It's leave coverage. So when I started the business, I had a girlfriend who also, was her own boss, had her own marketing business. And she said, hey, I know you're just starting out, but I'm about to have a baby and I normally don't get to take a maternity leave because I run my own business. She said, would you be willing to just essentially take on my client load for a couple months? I take a leave and then you kind of get your toes wet in what this looks like. And so I did that. It worked out great. And all of a sudden I had another friend who worked at an agency and said, hey, I'm, expecting, and we have no idea where to start on my maternity leave. And so we've now, over the last 5 years, built this kind of avenue of business that we've covered maternity leaves, we've covered paternity leaves, we've covered short-term health leaves. We're actually right now covering a leave for someone who's on a grand jury. So between Emily and myself, we have a lot of background, whether it's project management, client relations, content writing, all of that marketing communication world kind of wrapped up, that we have built a process so that we can step in, be part of your team for, 2, 3, 5 months, whatever you need, and kind of relieve your team of the stress of, oh no, someone's gone, we're all going to have to do more work.
That
So
is so
long-winded answer, but
genius.
to say short-term leave. Yeah. And I think the reason it's become my favorite is because we're so appreciated when we step into that role, because it's overwhelming for other people when all of a sudden it's like, okay, are we all taking on that workload? Or even as the person who needs to step out, to think, is this all just going to pile up while I'm gone? So kind of getting to be the, I got you people.
Yeah. And I mean, what a great way to experience like some new, fresh things, because their client load's totally different than your client load. So you get to work on some different projects, and it breaks up some of the maybe monotony that shows up in day-to-day life of running your own small business. Like, I think that is so cool. And what a great way to stay on top of your game, stay fresh with what's going on in other people's circles. Like, that is so cool. I love that.
Yeah, thanks. And it's great at us to see like, okay, this is a reminder that we're doing this right, or being part of this team, showed us we don't want to do things this way. But it's also just a really great relationship builder. We've, got a lot of longer term clients out of it, just because we've kind of showed our value, built that relationship. They trust us, we know they're good people. So yeah,
That's amazing. Good for you.
thanks.
And you said you've been doing that for 5 years now?
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the amount of maternity leaves, that's for sure the most popular. But yeah, every now and then we get something out of left field, like a grand jury, someone's on the grand jury. I was like, this is new. And I'm very excited to tell people that this is also a type of leave we cover.
Yeah. Well, and it's something you don't think about until you absolutely need it. Like, it's been kind of percolating in the back of my head. I'm so fresh into being self-employed. I'm like, what if I get sick? Like, what if something happens? What if I need to take an extended time off? Like, I need to be prepared for how to handle this sort of thing. And it's just something that doesn't cross your mind until sometimes it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I think there's a lot of businesses out there who are smaller and lean and are like, okay, this is our first maternity leave. What do we do? So even kind of working with some businesses to help define what that looks like is kind of a refreshing part of being a business owner and this type of partner.
Yeah, for sure. So are you based out of like an office, out of your house? How are you kind of operating?
Yes, I'm out of my townhome in Sartell, and my colleague Emily works out of her home in Princeton. I would say it's about once a week, probably for sure every other week we see each other or we're at a coffee shop. We love Second Street in Sartell. We're often at Caribou in Waite Park, Kinder in St. Cloud. We kind of bop around and find some of our spots, or we're with clients. Another one of our local clients is Burnix. Great business, great people to work with. We're fortunate to have them as clients, and we were there yesterday. So we find ourselves together in a lot of settings, but both kind of prefer working from home. And, Emily has a few kids. I have a dog and, lots of family. So yeah, we're just out of our homes for now.
That's awesome. I'm out of my home too, and I absolutely love it.
Yep, I can change a load of laundry and start the dishwasher and then get a lot of work done as well. So I always tell people I was thankful to kind of have that work from home set up before it was required from COVID, because I think if it was forced upon me, it would have been more jarring, but I kind of was able to transition into it and yeah, have grown to love it and very much prefer it.
Yeah, same here. I got to work from the lake this weekend, and ironically enough, our internet at the lake is way faster. So, like, if I have big uploads to do, I just go and set up at the lake and use that internet. But
Oh
it's
shoot.
nice to have that luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to travel. I've spent weeks in other places, states, countries, and brought my laptop with me. And I think there's always a little double-edged sword of anywhere my computer is, I can work and building that boundary, but also seeing it as an opportunity that I can take work where I feel like life is calling me.
For sure. So you mentioned Burnix is one of your clients. Huge client. Oh my gosh, you go, girl. Who else do you
Thanks.
kind of work with here in the area?
Yeah, we're just starting some projects with St. John's Prep. So working with them on really recruiting of new students. So that's getting underway. And that's, really, I'm trying to think if I'm missing any. St. Cloud Shines, Burbank. That's probably the gamut of really local clients. A lot of our clients are kind of spread out. We have, one out in Washington, D.C., in Michigan, Chicago. So just through networking connections, it seems like we have kind of clients scattered all over. So
That's really cool though, because then you get to hear about what's happening in their neck of the woods. And
yeah. Yeah, and it is nice to have a little bit of mix of like, those clients that we are invested in and support locally, but also kind of have that bigger picture of businesses in different landscapes.
yeah, for sure. Well, I just totally appreciate your time. I'm so glad that we got to do this. And I just to wrap it up here, I want to hear about your favorite St. Cloud Shines story. Do you have one that sticks out in your head?
Oh goodness. I feel like there's so many of them that I've really loved. Well, I know Liz, Sunny Mary Meadow, introduced us. I always love sharing her story just because there's so many pieces to that story. And funnily enough, Liz and I didn't meet until we lived up here, but we found out kind of through chatting that we grew up in neighboring small towns. And not only that, but she also dated one of my cousins. So her and I just like keep finding connections. And I was like, this is like the beauty of Minnesota, I feel like. So I always love, Liz and Sunny Mary Meadows' story. I know after we did that on St. Cloud Shines, it was picked up by WCCO, I think. I'm not sure if that's the right news broadcast now, but I know it was picked up by larger media outlets. Desi Murphy Pottery is the one that we did recently. And I think she just has a really beautiful story of, doing one thing and enjoying it and being successful, but then also really pivoting to, where your passions are and following that. So I could go on and on. I think, we just published one too about Lake Wobegon Outfitters, and it's a gentleman who provides electronic bikes and paddle boards, and he comes to you, like there's so many beautiful lakes around here, and he basically is the easy button. And that was one of them that I was like, what? I had no idea this exists. I don't have a paddleboard or an electronic bike, and this makes it so easy. So yeah, I think I truly could go on and on, because as soon as I think of one story, I think of another one. But yeah, it's just one of those that I always feel like I'm telling people, did you know, or did you hear about this? Have you seen this? And so it's exciting, and it's a great way, I think, to meet people in the community, and also, just keep sharing that light and the way that people shine here.
For sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. Where can people check out these stories and learn more about you guys?
Yeah, if you go to stcloudshines.com, there's a blog there, and all of our Shine stories are there, or you can follow St. Cloud Shines on Facebook or on Instagram.
And then if they're interested in marketing with you, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can go to Greenline, one word, -marketing.com. That's our website, and you'll find the story behind our name and all that exciting stuff there. And you can also find us on social at Greenline Marketing.
Awesome. Bridget, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love it.
I'm excited to finally cross this off my initial contact list.
Yeah, I'm glad we got connected and were able to have the conversation. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Small Town Tourist Podcast. Again, if you're looking for more information on either Greenline Marketing, working with Bridget, or St. Cloud Shines, all that information is in the show notes below. If you're looking for more content from the Small Town Tourist, you can always follow me at the Small Town Tourist on Instagram and on Facebook, or you can check out the blog, thesmalltowntourist.com. We'll catch you next time.